avoid the topic of class analysis and inherited wealth. Looking at material conditions and the relationships of people and the means of production is just far too fucking complicated for this Twitch streamer. Jeff Bezos gets paid because he's super fucking skilled and no one else could probably ever even do his job ever. Dad used to decide who was the richest man in society.
Oh my god, your chat is so funny, bro.
Don't worry about chat. We don't worry about them right now.
Who was the richest man in society. That was old and archaic, and now we have the market, which is new and innovative. And totally different. Totally different. The market is rational and justified. Ignore any similarities to feudalism.
You don't get compensated based on how hard you work. You get compensated.
I remember more about this
video
now. Okay, so it seems like in general, this is like a common talking point here. People feel like CEOs are paid too much, or that CEO jobs aren't harder than like.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Yeah, actually, I'd like to further that. I think anyone could do Jeff Bezos' job. I think in theory, like if you're given the resources and the time, you could, there's nothing stopping anyone from doing what Jeff Bezos does. There's nothing unique about Jeff Bezos.
Well, then why doesn't everybody just start a multi-billion-dollar company?
Because not everyone has the means that Jeff Bezos has. I mean, correct? Like just.
Do you know how much money Jeff Bezos had when he started off with Amazon?
Off the top of my head, no, I could not name that figure.
Well, sure, but just like my understanding, and I could be wrong, but way back in the day, Amazon just sold books. Like it was a small. It's not like he started off with like Donald Trump, like $100 million, and then.
Okay, and again, I think like geographically, like okay, you're selling books like in the United States in the imperial core, like that the geographic lends itself to another advantage, I think.
Well, I'm just saying I think that Jeff Bezos was able to accomplish something that was relatively unique, even for somebody who was able to attend college and everything, right? I don't think that you could say like everybody could be Jeff Bezos, right? It's probably not a fair statement, no?
I mean, I think anyone given the same resources and circumstances could in theory become Jeff Bezos, yes. If you're born at the time he was, for frontlining the industries that he was, indeed, yeah. If you had the capital like he did, then yes, you could do it. What I'm trying to point out is that he's not particularly special for doing this. I don't think so whatsoever. And especially when you take into account like the actual work that goes on at Amazon, like I don't see him coding the UI on Amazon's website. I don't see him moving boxes. Like he's not actually doing the productive labor whatsoever.
Well, yeah, but all of those productive jobs are a lot easier to learn than probably managing a multi-billion-dollar company, right?
Oh my god.
What?
I mean, I don't know, man. I think I'd rather be in Jeff Bezos' position. I think I'd have an easier time as an occupation as Jeff Bezos than working at one of those fucking shithole warehouses.
It's not about an easier time, or it's a matter of like how many people could theoretically do a given job. If training somebody to drive a forklift or be like a front-end designer or developer is probably easier than getting somebody that's competent enough to make decisions, the correct decisions for like a huge company. That's probably a significantly harder thing to do.
Dude, what decisions? What groundbreaking decisions is he making? See, I think you have this fable of what CEOs do day to day. Uber and some of these other very large tech companies have ran successfully without CEOs, without present executives.
Okay.
If you can have an entire company that's working, right, that's functioning, that's making money without a literal CEO, what is the purpose of a CEO?
Okay, well, here's a question. If you think that a CEO has no purpose, why do companies have CEOs with public boards? If you've got a board of investors, why would they pay a CEO so much money doesn't do anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think that question, there's a lot to that question, I think.
Well, let's think about it. So an investor sitting on a board gets money based on how well the company does. Why would they throw away money towards a CEO that gets paid a lot when they could just instead split that money up amongst themselves?
Because in part, like being paid to not do anything is central to the American economy.
Wait,
a labor that is ultimately unproductive gets paid a lot more. This is from, again, I know you don't do books, Destiny, but this is David Graeber's Bullshit Jobs. That's a book that covers this topic kind of in detail, where there's a lot of jobs in this economy where you don't actually produce anything valuable, but you still get paid.
Okay, so that wasn't my question. My question was, let's say that I'm sitting on a board with like other people,
Okay.
and we're trying to figure out like how do we want to make the most money? Because let's get a little bit more fundamental. Do you agree that a board of people that all have ownership stock in the company, they just want to make money, right?
That is indeed one of their motives, is to generate capital.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if they want to make money, why would they waste money on a CEO when they could just divvy that money up amongst
Why
themselves?
do companies waste money on middle managers, man? There's so many companies, banks, hospitals, universities have bullshit jobs. They have jobs that all across the country. There are companies that have jobs that don't produce anything. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask this question a third time.
My university,
I'm trying to ask,
Sorry.
why would a board have why would they pay money, exorbitant money, or give shares to a CEO? Why would they dilute their own investment? Why would they hurt their own pocketbooks to hire a CEO if he didn't do anything? Why would they do this?
I mean, it in part, this is the organization of companies in the U.S. Yes, like.
No, you don't have to have the CEO.
Like,
You don't have to pay them a lot of money. No,
reason.
you don't have to. There's nothing demanding you to do that. You have to have a CEO for
Wait,
like
what?
a certain. You have to have a CEO if you want to file like a C corp, sure, but you don't have to pay them a lot of money. You can just pay them $1, just make a random dude CEO, right? So I'm asking why, but CEOs get paid a lot of money in the United States to run these huge companies. Why would a board of investors pay money to a CEO if their incentive is to just make money themselves? Why would they pay money to a CEO?
Dude, I feel like I could answer this question at a better time, to be honest with you. But like I still don't see this as a point of we're talking about CEOs not doing anything. That doesn't actually counter my point. You're asking why would they pay someone? Well, okay, I don't have the whole story of like why do CEOs get paid such ceremonious amounts?
Well, the answer, I mean, I can give you an answer.
In that capacity, but what's the answer? Okay.
The answer is because these are people that are in charge of leading companies and making like incredibly costly decisions that could either be massively beneficial or massively detrimental to how the company functions or operates, right?
Okay. And if again, if a CEO is so vital and necessary to the functioning of a company, explain to me how a company like Uber runs without multiple executives. Because
I don't know what you're talking about. So Uber has a CEO. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, right now, but they went. I'm implying they went through a period without multiple executives.
You can probably have some. You can probably have some period of time where you're looking for new executives, but ultimately you want some. I mean, a car will run if the driver passes out for a few minutes before it drives off the road. Like, I mean, what do you mean? That's not an argument for anything.
Okay, a driver passing out again is a lot different than an entire company working, right? There's a lot of moving parts there.
Yeah, the CEO doesn't.
A lot of cars in the case of Uber. A lot of cars.
The CEO of a company isn't like running the day-to-day like line level stuff of a company. I'm sure that a company could run for a while without, just like a restaurant could probably run for a little bit without a supervisor. It could run maybe a bit longer without any managers, probably a bit longer without any store owners, right? The higher up you go, the longer you could like have that person theoretically step away before noticing. But
I'm just asking, like, what do you think happens when like the boss leaves, man? Like everything just falls to shit. Like I find workers are often competent enough to carry out their own tasks.
But their own tasks aren't enough to keep everything running.
Evidently, they were in Uber's case.
No, because it wasn't just line level employees. There were probably still a lot of VPs and everything working in that company.
Okay.
We could use a restaurant as an example if you want.
Okay, I'm just gonna. The specialty of my knowledge here is specifically at universities, and universities run on a similar organization and basis as a lot of corporations in the U.S. The university pays presidents, college presidents, exorbitant sums, executives, exorbitant sums for people. Again, these are people who don't do much. And in the case of a college and a university, it's being able to say, well, this is our mascot. It's being able to provide patronage positions to people. That's one of the reasons, right? And that's a reason you can see at corporations as well.
Okay. Are you going to university right now? What year are you? Are you like freshman, sophomore, junior?
I'm a junior.
Okay. This is what I would suggest. ask a professor and administration or write a letter to the school president and say, hey, what do you do for your job? I think the answer would surprise you. It sounds like you think they just sit in an office all day and spin their chair around.
What he does for his job.